Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts I can make a difference to your life.
Effortless Attraction Podcast is sponsored by Maria Young Wellbeing, wellness mentor and creator of Infusion, a platform designed to inspire health, wealth, abundance, and a life lived with purpose. Maria conducts events, trainings, and the blending of practical tools for lasting change. Her mission is simple: to help you live well and rise strong. You can explore more at www.mariayoungwellbeing.co.uk or infusion.mn.co.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another Effortless Attraction podcast. So today I'm joined, and I'm going to pronounce it as Karl, but I know throughout this podcast my Tyronisms will come in and you'll just be known as Karl.
Girl.
So I have Karl Davidson, and Karl did everything right. He got good grades, he earned an engineering degree, and he landed himself a secure job, all by the age of 20. And by 24, he was traveling the world, working on cutting edge semiconductor tech in Japan, the US, China, Taiwan, and the Netherlands. So from the outside, he was successful, but inside he felt empty. He earned well, but spent even better, buying things to fill a gap that he couldn't name. Then, on a work trip to Japan, a stranger he met online recommended two books. One stopped him mid-step on a Tokyo street, and the other rewired how he thought about money, purpose, and freedom. So that moment sparked a transformation, and he began studying wealth, mindset, and entrepreneurship, collecting wisdom from people and cultures around the world. So a Chinese proverb has stuck with him: if someone gives you something and you benefit, you must share it. Well, there you go. I'm going to rob that one for Effortless Attraction. I always say it's about making a difference, but you've got the knowledge, you've got the information, so let's share it. Carol, you're most welcome today.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for having me on. I really appreciate what you're doing as well. You're doing some amazing things. So thank you so much for having me on.
That's great. Well, Carl is in Dublin, in Ireland, and I'm here in lovely Spain, but it's great technology. Carl, a favorite subject too that I'm very curious about.
Mhm.
Well, the big one is mindset. And
Yeah,
another thing that people talk about quite a lot is the wealth.
yeah,
Now, I'm just thinking where to start here because there's so many things, but I'll tell
yeah,
you where I'm going to start because I was having a wee nosy through a lot of the stuff that you do.
yeah,
Four types of wealth:
yeah,
financial wealth, which is money,
yeah.
social wealth, status, time wealth, which is freedom, physical wealth, which is health. And this has said, and I love this: be wary of jobs that lure you in with one and two, which is money and status, but rob you of three and four, freedom and health. Now, you said you had it all. You had the qualifications, you're getting the
Mhm.
money, but there was that emptiness inside. What were you robbed of?
Oh, what a great question. You know what? I was robbed of fulfillment. I didn't have any sort of passion or purpose in my life when it came to, like, I was earning some really good money when I was younger, like, and earning a lot now, but like I was earning like the guts of 2,000 euro for a 21 year old, 22-year-old. That's a lot of money back then, like, and but my wealth thermometer, my wealth thermostat was just saying, right, a lot of money coming in and then a lot of money going out. And I didn't really have any fulfillment. I was lacking in any sort of passion or purpose or anything to do with helping people, or, you know, I didn't even realize I was a big helper of people until, like, I started delving more into self-development at the age of 24, 25. And that's kind of what led me down the path of helping people with their money, because money is up there with oxygen. You need it. I know a lot of people, they are kind of, let's say, repelled, or they think of money as this kind of evil, or this kind of corporate capitalistic nature. But at the same time, I've never seen an unhappy person when they get paid. You
Mm.
know? But but at the same time, we have to distinguish between the materialistic and the programming that we have of money, as opposed to how we can use more money to help more people. So I'll give you a quick example, Evelyn. Like if your listeners are listening in and they hear us talking about money and stuff, some of them are going to shriek and go, "Oh God, Evelyn, you're talking to someone about money and stuff like that. Like, can just stick to like the law of attraction and all." Well, attracting the law of attraction, attracting more money is how I live my life. Yesterday I was sitting at a desk and I found 20 cent, right? Now, some people will laugh at that and go, "Oh God, to 20 cents, not nothing." But how do you value money? If you don't value the 1 cent, the 2 cent on the ground, the 20 cent on the ground, 20 cent on a table, what are you saying to your subconscious mind about valuing 20 grand, 200 grand, 2 million? You need to value the small stuff, because the small stuff eventually turns into big stuff. Eventually, there's no other option for it to not, until you get your mindset right. So, when it comes to money, people can shriek and get a little bit like, "Oh no," like, but at the same time, you have to reframe your mind. You have to reframe it in a sense that, right, how much money do I have in my bank account now? That's like, if you, let's say you have 10K in your bank account, right? You can only help 10K worth of people. So if you are a big helper, if you do want to help more people, start earning more money. It's because the more money you make, the more people you can help. But see, our programming and our mindset from all these big corporations that want us to spend, that want us to consume, our consumer mindset, they have us programmed in a way that we need to make more money to enjoy the Lamborghinis and the yachts that we see all these big elitists and globalists, travel around the world in. And it's like, if we don't have that, then it's pointless. And that's where you need to shy away from that and go, okay, yeah, you can have that. I've driven Lamborghinis and stuff like that in the past. I've been on like first class planes and all this sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's a great thing, but at the same time, you need to understand that it's not the be and end all of that. If you can't achieve that, it doesn't matter. What you need to be able to achieve is helping more people with the money that you make as well. Does that
Well,
make
that's a
sense, Evan?
first. Does it make sense? Absolutely. But I have to be honest with you. That's the first that I'm hearing that. And
Nice.
I would say there's a very small percentage of people think if
Oh,
I earn more money, I can help more people.
yeah.
That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking if
No.
I can earn more money, well, I can pay my bills, I could change the car, I could move the house, I could buy that handbag. I mean, is it a big percentage of people that are thinking like that, Carol?
I mean, I've been doing this the guts of nearly 10 years, and now I understand the frustration that my mentors have had, because we repeat nearly the same things over and over and over again. And it hits on the right people, and it hits on the people that are ready to transform their life when it comes to their money mindset, when it comes to making more money, when it comes to preserving their wealth as well, because that's a big thing. Um, you know, but it is a very small percentage of people that think like that. Very, very small. However, it just takes a decision to start thinking like that. But it's the start that stops most people.
Mm.
That's the real thing. Even when it comes to investing, even when it comes to saving money, even when it comes to, putting a goal on your money. Because, have you ever heard, of course, you've heard the saying, "Oh, I'm saving for a rainy day." I don't expect rainy days. I expect sunny days. I want sunny days. I want sunny Spanish days. I want sunny Portuguese days. This is the thing that, like, we are so subconsciously programmed that we don't actually realize what we're saying when it comes to money. We don't realize the power of our tongue when it comes
Yeah.
to money. Oh, I'm no good with money. Okay, well, your brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie, so therefore you're going to be no good with money.
Yeah. Yeah, I've often, I've heard that your brain will always search for evidence to prove you're right. So if you think that
100%.
way, your reality will show you that way. So getting back to the more money that I have,
Yeah,
because I'm curious about this, the more money
nice.
people I can help.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just be nosy. How do you help people with your money?
That's a great question. So with my clients, right? No matter what I do, I will educate them on whatever different asset class they're interested in. But when we do like the likes of the budget and and their monthly budget and what's coming in, what's coming out, I will say, right, you need to set aside X amount of money, whatever it is. I don't care how much it is. You can put a fiver in there, you can put a tenner, you can put 200 euro, but that needs to go to a charity, that needs to go to a church, that needs to go to some sort of organization that is helping more people. So that's how I do it. I donate,
Okay.
you know?
So you're saying like with a certain percentage or to give to a charity, to
Yeah,
give to your community
yeah.
willingly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what that actually does is because a lot of people when they get their money, they have this scarcity mindset and they like, no, it's mine, you know. But what you're actually doing is you're reframing your neural pathway. There's science to this as well. It's not just, this how would you say this woo-woo as people talk about, which I love the woo-woo by the way, but there's also science based to it. What you're actually doing is you're training your neural pathways in your brain that you're okay with giving away the money, you're okay with it, parting with your money, because a lot of people when they get the money it's like, oh, how can I pay my bills, how can I get my handbag, how can I do my, and that's okay because you need to put on your oxygen mask first. And when you start putting on your oxygen mask first, when you start sorting out your money, when you start, you have breathing space. You literally have the oxygen mask on, so you're able to breathe. You have a bit of breathing space, and then you can say, right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start, donating. I'm going to start giving to charity, and it doesn't have to be a monetary giving. It can be your time. I used to spend a lot of time on the Dublin streets doing the soup runs and giving out like soup to or food and stuff like that to the homeless. And that for me was very fulfilling. I've spent time I was on this volunteer, it was called, where basically it's a voluntary tour, and you go there, you pay your money, you get set up in an accommodation. And what we did was we went into this soap factory in Hong Kong, and we got like a bunch of soaps, used soaps from all different hotels in the vicinity, right? So they were obviously dirty. And what we had to do was we had to scrape it off, bring it down, and then put it into kind of a press. And what that would do is that would press the soaps all together, and then it would be chopped up and it would be delivered to places like the Philippines or Indonesia, where they would have like basically natural disasters, volcanoes and tsunamis and all that sort of stuff, where basically they would have, at least they would be clean. They could wash themselves with new soap basically, like so it doesn't actually have to be a monetary giving of money. It can be time, it can be effort, it can be,
Yeah.
even, I run the Cashflow Club Ireland. I do that for free, like,
And
so I
I'm just
spend.
going to go back. I'm going to go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you're so used to talking about you. Whoosh, he skimmed on past it. So there's a
That's it.
guy called Robert Kiyosaki. Now I
Yeah,
spelled that English so I could read it out. Robert
yeah,
Kiyosaki. He's an author, wrote the
yeah,
book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it
yeah.
really was about teaching people how to get out of this rat race.
Hmm.
So he's invented this thing called a cash flow game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And yourself and your beautiful wife, Barona,
yeah,
are the representation in Ireland. Is called Cashflow Ireland.
yeah.
You do have videos and photographs. It's not just a board game. It's not like Monopoly. Explain it a wee bit to us,
Oh,
Karen.
do you know what? It's so interesting when I talk to adults about playing a game, because, so many people when they grow up, their creativity and they lose their light. They get dimmed down. And when they play a game, it's like the inner child comes out in them. And initially, when I chat to them about a game, they're like, a game, what can that teach me? Well, I'll tell you what it can teach you. I played the game for the first time ever, um, nearly, yeah, guts of 8, 9 years ago now. And within a couple of turns of the game, I went bankrupt. So this was what my subconscious programming was going to do in real life had I been presented with opportunities. And from that learning, I was like, oh my God. I could see it right in front of me. This was what was going to happen. And all I did was take out a loan for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house,
And
which
by the
was
way, this is all on a game,
this is
guys.
all on a
But
game.
it is
A
a
board game.
reflection of what your inner
Yeah.
thoughts really are.
Exactly. And it's a reflection of your actions as well. And everything that you do comes out in the board game. And when I chat to adults about the board game, it's literally Monopoly on steroids. So, you know, the way Monopoly, I'm sure people have played, not everyone, but you play Monopoly and then you always end up in a fight and that gets thrown in the cupboard until next year or something. Maybe it's at Christmas time or something you play it. Whereas this game, you're not playing against each other, you're playing against yourself. So it's very much an in deep reflection of your thoughts, of your actions, on how you deal with money. And it's so important because when I play with like teenagers and younger adults, it's like, oh yeah, cool, okay, do this, do that, boom, happy days. Whereas adults, they tend to overcomplicate things because we've just been consumed for a longer period of time in this, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, yeah, oh, what about this, what about that? And it's like, no, just keep it super simple. KISS, that acronym that everyone talks about. Keep it super simple. Do this and you'll get this. But it's a game changer. um we have events coming up as well, but at the same time, it's a great way, it's a great starting point, it's a great foundation, and you need a solid foundation. I think that's a biblical quote as well. A house built on sand will, you know, whatever fall, but a house built on rocks will stand the test of time. And that's what you need to be thinking of when it comes to your finances. You need a solid foundation and then grow. So many people, they're like, okay, I've gotten, so many people come to me, Evelyn, you'd be surprised. Okay, I've got 20K, 30K. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, well, how strong is your foundation? Like, I don't know, how good of an investor you are, so you need that strong foundation. And that's what the game teaches you as well. It's about a reflection of you, how you operate when it comes to money, how you operate when you get a lot of money, how you operate when you have little money, because you can go bankrupt in the game, you can lose your job in the game, you can have babies in the game, you know, and you learn so much, and plus you're chatting with people, you're networking with people, you're having a crack with people as well. But it's really one time I was actually, I'll give you a quick story. This attendee, all he wanted to do was just pay off his mortgage. That to him was a win. And I'm like, well, it's
And
a win
as
for,
it is for, I would say, everybody that has a
yeah,
mortgage, I just want to pay my
absolutely.
mortgage off.
Yeah. And that's the inner subconscious program. It's like, okay, I just need to pay off my mortgage. But he missed all the opportunities that were coming at him. So all he did was focus on getting up money, and he was just keep going around and around, which is totally fine. It's whatever you feel that success is. But at the same time, the aim of the game was to generate a passive income greater than your expenses, which allows you to be free. And you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to do that. You don't have to be even a millionaire. But when I saw him do that, I was like, okay, there's a lot running in the background. That's totally fine. But if you be open to more opportunities, you generate the more money and you can pay off your mortgage quicker. Whereas he was like, no, I don't care about any opportunities. Boom, 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 boom. I just want to pay
Mm,
off my mortgage. I'm like, okay, interesting. If that's the way you want to play it, then that's your game. But at least now you're aware of that game. And if you
yeah,
don't like that, you change it.
yeah. Do you think though it's people want to be safe? They want to play life safe. They want to feel safe with having money in their bank. Just leave it sitting there. They don't want risks or gambles or the what ifs.
Do you know what? Since becoming a parent, I've really being able to distinguish the investors that have kids and don't have kids. The ones that don't have kids are very much more into higher risk investments. Oh yeah, Grant, I'll do that. That's fine. That's 10K there. Grant, no worries. I think the ones that have kids, they are kind of thinking a little bit more because it's not on them to make more money. It's about the children then, or just the one child, whatever. Um, so I think there is a level of safety when you become a parent that you need to provide. You need to have your cave, like you need to be like in the Neanderthals. You need to be able to provide. You need to be able to have the fire going there. There is a certain level of the primitive brain will try and keep you safe. Your brain is going to do everything it can. You mentioned it there earlier. Your brain will do everything it can to kind of keep you safe, to kind of give you confirmation about, oh no, that's not a good deal. I wouldn't touch that and all, even though maybe it is. You won't know until you get into it. Um, but at the same time, like, there is a level of protection that a lot of people, and for some people it's greater because of the programming that they got from their parents. Like, if you ask any 80-year-old now or 90-year-old, oh yeah, get a safe, secure job and pay into your pension, and you're fine. you know
Well, that's what we hear a lot from
Mm,
people that say are contemplating moving to another country or Spain.
mm.
They're waiting on retirement.
Some people do 60, 70 hours a week, and they just do that over and over and over again. I think there's a lot of them that actually also want to break free and want even early retirement. My parents took early retirement, and I'm so glad they did, because I'm so happy that they now can do their things that they want to do, or they're not stressed out working in a job that they don't like, and maybe they do, I don't know. But um I think when it comes to, being in a job, it's perfectly fine to be in a job until your pension age, which is going to be raised, over the next couple of years anyway. It'll be 70. It'll probably be 75 by the time I turn 75, and if not even older, because we're living longer. We've got better healthcare and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people just don't really know why. They know how. I think deep down people know how. Oh yeah, set up a business or do something, or but it's kind of like their why isn't that strong yet. And it gets there if they pursue that burning desire that they have in themselves. But a lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people, adults and stuff like that, they dim their light a little bit, you know.
Mm. You talked about the difference there between what you can see with people that have families,
Mm.
young kids, you have two young girls,
Yeah, yeah.
and those that don't. And then there's people like myself and Jim, where ours are all adults. They've all flew the
Nice.
nest, and it's
Nice.
great. Then there's another stage in life.
Yeah.
But what we notice too, in comparison, with different people or mindsets,
Mm.
you studied entrepreneurship. That's what you do. That's what Barona does. That there's a difference between people's mindset that are in a safe and secure Monday to
Mm.
Friday job and those that are self-employed. They gather less fish because they're used to, you have to get inventive, you have to get creative,
Mm.
you have to be less fearful when you're self-employed. But I'm going to go back before I forget.
Yeah.
You said there a while ago about your passive income must be greater than your expenses.
Yeah.
How many people actually sit down and really study and put pen to paper of
Yeah.
what is going out of my house every month?
Very, very few. And even like I've talked to mortgage brokers who basically literally will give you a mortgage. But I've talked to mortgage brokers that don't even have a monthly budget. And I'm like, what? Make it make sense. Very few people will actually sit down and say, right, what's coming in and what's going out. And when you understand what your expenses are, so let's say your monthly expenses will fluctuate. You'll have birthdays, you'll have wedding anniversaries, you'll have whatever, anniversaries, all this sort of stuff. And basically what will happen is, when you know your expenses, then you need to just generate a passive income, 1, 2 euro more than your expenses, and you're financially free. Now, would I recommend, quitting your job after you've gotten one passive income that gives you greater than your expenses? Absolutely not. You build up multiple streams of income, you know?
And
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting,
Yeah.
but could you just explain? Because I know
Yeah.
what passive income is, but for people
Yeah.
that may be listening, going, What's a passive income?"
Yeah. So a passive income is when you do something once and you get paid for it over and over again. So for example, let's just choose property. Properties is like the most simplest, and most people really understand it. You invest in a property, like a buy to let property. You rent out the rooms, or you rent out the whole property. You pay your taxes, you do all that, and you're left with whatever is left over. Let's say it's 500 euro a month. That comes in every single month. That's your passive income, you know.
What
Now,
about people that can't afford a house? What about Just every most a
Yeah,
lot of people like say, geez, I'll be lucky if I have €100 left over. How do they generate or create
yeah.
passive
And
incomes?
and that's a great question. I never ever say I can't afford it. Never. I'll never say that. I used to say it, and then I realized that if I had a product of €5,000 that was worth €5,000, I sell it to 200 people, boom, I'm a millionaire. Like
Go
you,
back over that again. If you
yeah,
had a product,
yeah. If I had a product that was worth €5,000,
give us an example.
a
Because
car.
I love when people are listening. Now, what would
Yeah.
he mean by that? What sort of product would you have that would
Yeah.
be worth 5,000?
Let's say I was a car dealership and I sold secondhand cars, right? And there was a car going for €5,000. If I sold 200 of them, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. Well,
So,
let's go back now
yeah, yeah,
to Mary or Johnny, that's
yeah.
out there working. And as I always say, it's just about making ends meet. How do you conjure up a passive income? What are people doing?
That's actually a great question. And I tell you, you have to bring it back to why is it that you want a passive income? Like, why is it that you actually want extra money? Like, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you have too much month at the end of your money? Are you just,
I like
going
that. Too
like
much month
at
at
the end of
the
your
end
money?
of your money.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
So you have to bring it back and go, right, well, I need to now go on a journey. And you start off with reading books, you start off with listening to people that have, I think it's very important to listen to people that have the lifestyle that you want because you subconsciously buy into their lifestyle. That's very important. Like I'm relocating to Portugal next year.
So I heard.
Yeah. We have our house there. We'll have an Airbnb. We'll be doing retreats like yourself as well, Evelyn as well. So that's gonna be great. But like you have to understand, like this isn't a dress rehearsal. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You know, you mentioned earlier about, get a job and then wait until the pension age. Like, how do you even know? Like, yeah, you're gonna hope that you get there, but how do you even know that you'll get there? Like there's too much, let's say, hope, that, oh, I hope to get there. And that's natural. Like, we think that we're gonna live long and until, I don't know, you have some sort of health scare or, you turn around and something happens, you car crash, God forbid, or anything like that. You just don't know what's around the corner. And yes, you can plan, but at the same time, you have to you have to kind of bite the bullet and
Yeah.
take the action. And I think for John and Mary that are working away, that's great that you're working away, but understand that if you want the life and you create the life, you have to make different changes and you have to make different decisions because where you are now is a collection of your decisions that you made yesterday, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. If you don't like where you are now, you have to change that.
Yeah, and it gives you more, as you say, that freedom. Well, now I'm going to pop on to a different topic here.
Right.
Carl, you spoke
Yeah.
there a while ago about when things perhaps step into our lives
Mm.
and about ill health. You had your own bump on the road,
Yeah.
a brain tumor, and I'm
Yeah.
very grateful that you're here.
Yeah, I think for me, like I didn't really have any symptoms or anything like that. I just had like a bit of an odd headache here and there, and we just were doing like health checks and stuff like that. When we went over to China, and I got an MRI, and then it kind of showed up this thing, and I was like, oh, I need to delve into this a little bit more. Thankfully, it's just stayed as is. But at the same time, what I focus on expands,
Of
so I'm
course.
very conscious of the power of the tongue. And it's something that, when I was chatting with my neurosurgeon about it, I had in my brain or even in my mindset that like I wanted him to be saying like, oh yeah, it's nearly like decreased in size, or it's like, don't worry about it type thing. It's just there. You could have had it for your whole life. We don't know this, and but like thankfully now I don't have to go for another MRI scan until like 2028, which was, and this was last year. So I was getting MRI scans every single year since 2020, I believe it was. No, 2019, the very end of 2019, actually. So with all that COVID stuff and all that other crack that was going on, I was dealing with that. And, it just made me think more about life, and it made me think, well, I'm gonna do things that people are not going to be okay with. Like, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm just going to, do as much as I can in this world
Well,
while
there's
I'm here.
your physical wealth.
Yeah. And that's something that, obviously I stopped drinking. Not that drink was a problem for me at all, but I stopped drinking back in 2018. And that's not to say I won't drink in the future. That's not to say I throw my nose up to people that do drink. It's just, for me, it just doesn't serve me. I can't hack
Yeah.
hangovers. I just can't. And especially now with two kids.
Oh no,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
how do people do it? But I really have kind of started looking after myself a lot better physically. Like, I train in a self-defense class every week and play a little bit of football here and there. And, I'm very conscious that, like, I want to make sure that I'm as healthy as I can be, because again, when you have kids, and if you're blessed enough to have kids, like, you realize that you actually want to live as long as possible, because you're not going to be around for their whole life, but they will be around for your whole life. So you want that life to be as long as possible. And if that means, I have a big sweet tooth as well. So if that means giving up some sweets every now and then so be it. Like, I value my time with my kids and my wife more so than anything else in the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you very much for talking about that, Karen. As
Yeah,
you say,
no
yes,
problem.
the power of the tongue
Yeah,
is healthier. I'm getting every day, and I'm
that's
delighted for
it.
you. Really am.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, yourself and Brona.
Mm.
I have been watching the two of you for quite some time. Now that sounds a bit
Yeah.
creepy, but watching on social media, and I will have Brona on in a few weeks, speaking about all the great things that she's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you are doing great. You are out at awards there the other night.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw the two of you. Married now, two wee kiddies,
yeah,
and moving to Portugal.
yeah, yeah. That's gonna be exciting. So when we were living in China, 2018 to 2020, we came back for a holiday in January 2020, and we got stuck in Ireland. We actually got stuck in Ireland. We couldn't go back to China. And that made us think, like, we were living pretty much on the beach in China. Like, it was like unreal. Like, it was so nice. It was so beautiful. I was working as an engineer over there, but it made us think, like, we really thrive in sunny climates, really sunny destinations and stuff like that. And we look after ourselves a lot better and stuff like that. But we always kind of, even though I'm a very patriotic Irish man and I love Ireland, I still like, the weather for me is just like one of the drawbacks to living in Ireland, not the cost of living and all the crap that's going on in Ireland. Um, for me, like, because I worked a lot of night shifts, I would always get anxious about the sun. And I was like, well, if I can remove this anxiety by living in a sunny country, then that just makes sense. So yeah, I then we were like on different kind of groups and Facebook groups and all this sort of stuff, different email distribution lists. I think I got one email came in from one guy and he had four different houses on it. And I looked at one, I was like, oh, Brona, what about this one? And then she looked at one and she goes, this one. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And she was pregnant at the time with our first, and she did the deal. Like, she wrapped it up in, I think, about 50 or 60 emails or something like that. Which was just back and forth, because obviously that's how it went. And yeah, we bought it, we were renovating it, and we're going to be relocating there next year. So yeah, can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's all mindset. Having a good supporting partner, the two of you on the same page.
Yeah,
Effortless communication, which is a big, big key thing.
yeah,
And just going from strength to strength. So, Carl, tell us
yeah,
this then, apart from doing your Cashflow Ireland,
yeah.
and you give your time freely there because you're obviously generating a lot of passive income there that helps you do all these things to give to others. How are you working with clients then on a one-to-one?
Yeah, so I do one-to-one clients, and I have been thinking a lot about doing kind of a group coaching, and that's something that I will do as well. I just really like the one-to-one interaction because they become my friend then. And when you're on the entrepreneurial journey, you don't really have many friends. You're kind of nearly like that lone wolf in a way. Yes, you can have a network of people there that can help you, but when it comes down to it, like you have your small circle of people, and that's really it. Whereas when I have clients, they really do become my friends. Like I'm helping them. Like I stay in touch with all my clients, and it's just a case of like, oh, what are you doing now? What are you investing in? Did you get that property deal over the line? Did you buy into that stock? Did you get that gold and silver? Whatever it is. Um, and I think it's important, and I love that one-to-one interaction because that will like solidify that friendship as well, if that makes sense. And then I can really like it's not until after they finish my course does their journey actually begin, if that makes sense. You
But if
know?
you were to sum up in a tagline of Karl Davidson and how you
Mm.
assist your clients, what is it?
Yeah, help you get richer.
There you go.
So
In
you can
all
do
aspects of life.
in every aspect, because a lot of people will look at me and go, "Oh, you talk about money, therefore you talk about materialistic wealth." But we talked a lot about the spiritual side, about actually donating, giving, stuff like that. We talked a lot about the physical, looking after your body as well, the mental challenges that you have when it comes to entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And that all encompasses in one kind of holistic view, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. You assist people becoming richer in
Yeah.
every aspect of their life.
Yeah, but you know what rich actually stands for? Rich stands for residual income or passive income. Residual income creates happiness.
All right.
But there
Okay.
you are now.
Always learning, always
Yeah.
learning. Carl, it's been a pleasure chatting with you
Thank you.
today. And your social media links, I will put them in the description below.
Lovely.
But if you want to let people know where they can get you,
Yeah, I mean, look, connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Karl Davidson, Instagram, following Karl Davidson. I've Snapchat there as well, just for the crack. Email as well, carldavidsondavid@gmail.com. Like, one and you know what? The good thing about me is that myself and my wife, we come as a pair. So like if you're following me, you're automatically gonna follow my wife because she's in a lot of what I do as well. Like we're
yeah,
we're constantly like together, if that makes sense.
absolutely. When I was manifesting a man, I said, he will support my dreams and wishes as I do his.
Ah,
So there you
amazing.
go, Jim. I always have to mention Jim sometime in a every time in a podcast.
Lovely.
Carol, it's been a pleasure. I've been very interesting, and I know you're going to be a guest speaker on my woman's
Yeah.
group. They said I remember hearing someone saying if you had a group of people in the room,
Hmm.
I think if you asked them to talk about their bank balance or their sex life, they'd much prefer to talk about the sex life.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay, okay.
They say, Evelyn, you nearly got that podcast complete without something. There you go.
Something
I'm
else.
glad that you talked about the bank balance and the
Yeah,
money today and
that's it.
investments and passive income.
That's it.
Carl, thank you so much. Ladies
Thank
and
you, Evan.
gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. If you're on Spotify or YouTube, there's a comment section below. I'm always interested to hear your feedback on the podcast. Thank you again.